I wanted to turn your attention to a video that is really one of my favorite videos of all time. I remember the first time I watched this video, it was 2018, I was doing the dishes, I had seen this pop up on TV, and I was looking at the YouTube video replay that was posted onto the TSN YouTube account on August 11th, 2018. This video is of Craig Button's 2019 draft prospects. It's a list of the top 5. And included in the video clip, it's Craig Button talking about his list, it's Craig's list, and he went out there and compiled a list of the top 5 prospects. This was taken at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup in 2018-19. The Hlinka Gretzky is like the first real tournament that we start to see action of these draft-eligible prospects. It's the first tournament of the year because the Hlinka Gretzky is around August, the 2018-19 season then begins afterwards, and then you have yourselves the actual draft almost a full year after this tournament. And Craig Button did use a lot of the Hlinka Gretzky tournament itself to determine who would be placed where in his draft rankings. Now, if you wanted the list as to whom it is he has as the top 5, he has Jack Hughes at number 1, Dylan Cozens at number 2, Philip Broberg at number 3, then he's got Kaapo Kakko at number 4, so that's kind of the way the cookie crumbles. It's a little bit out of date because, of course, we recognize that Kaapo Kakko didn't go 4 and Dylan Cozens didn't go number 2. But the guy that I wanted to talk about in this video was the player that Button ranked at number 5, and this was the very first time that we started to see hype for this individual player. Because if you go over to the 5th overall name that Button lists on his list, it is Vasili Podkolzin. And the YouTube automated timeline thing says Vasili Podkolzin. You could even hear Button in the video broadcast say Vasili Podkolzin is his number 5 prospect. Because back in this time frame, nobody really knew how to pronounce this guy's name. Even though it's kind of self-explanatory, today we're talking about Vasili Podkolzin and some of the crazy comparisons that were made by members of the media, just some different conversation points, some talks about ceiling, and how the guy is proving all of us wrong. Maybe I am to blame because I watched this TSN video broadcast back in 2018 and I thought to myself, wow, that guy's really good. He's going to be amazing. And as the year went on, we started to see a little bit of a different perception establish itself around this guy. Vasili Podkolzin right now is in the Edmonton Oilers system. He's got 11 points in 30 games played. He is on pace for a career-high season of 30 points in 82 games, which is definitely good. He, ever since being traded over to Edmonton, has been placed on various lines. Some lines he's been playing with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, others he's been playing with other guys. The Oilers have been on a little bit of a heater as of late, and in this, 8 wins in 9 games streak, Vasili Podkolzin actually has himself 3 goals and 3 assists. Now, whether or not that's going to continue to be the status quo for Podkolzin, a guy who has been getting, let's say, 13 minutes a night, he's near the bottom of the lineup and the team is racking up a bunch of goals, whether or not a 6-point in 9-game sample will continue as the year goes on, that's debatable. But what I wanted to do in this video was go over Craig Button's analysis of Vasili Podkolzin and dive into why it might have been a little bit inaccurate. Because if you go over to the video clip itself, this scouting report has a whole bunch of clips of Podkolzin dominating the Hlinka Gretzky tournament, which was always seen as a really big deal because it was the first initial tournament of the draft season, and Podkolzin stood out in a huge way as the captain for Team Russia. He had 11 points in 5 games in the tournament, plus 8 goals. So this was a guy that was finding ways to put the puck in the back of the net, either by barreling the puck into the goal, just driving super hard to the front of the crease and just forcing it in, or by sniping it. And this is why Craig Button in the video clip says that you don't usually use the term complete winger to talk about wingers, but Vasili Podkolzin is a complete winger. and that he's got all the qualities you want in a playoff competitor. He's smart, he can score, he can make plays, he can kill penalties. He has some of the same things that Pavel Datsyuk had. Strong on the puck, he maneuvers the puck in tight, you can't get it from him, and he's got that uncanny ability to always be able to open up the puck for great opportunities. He is certainly a top-end player, and who cares if he's a Russian guy, he is a very complete top-end player. And this scouting report was the first ever analysis that I had seen about Vasili Podkolzin, aside from, of course, watching the actual tournament back in 2018. And it was so interesting to me how we were looking at this guy saying, yeah, no, he's got those qualities that Pavel Datsyuk has. He's really strong defensively, he's really good offensively, he can make plays, he can make some nice handles, he can snipe it. And now it's 2024, it's 6 years after that video segment was published and posted, and I'm saying that we kinda got clickbaited because Vasili Podkolzin unfortunately is nothing near what Pavel Datsyuk ever was. Now, to be fair, when I look at Vasili Podkolzin today, I see a guy who really needed a lot more confidence towards the end of his days in Vancouver. When he actually has that confidence, he can do some pretty good things. And it seems like in Edmonton, he's slowly starting to regain that back, playing with guys like McDavid and Draisaitl occasionally. Now, if you compare Podkolzin to Datsyuk, and you take a look at the one-to-one, season-by-season numbers, yeah, no, it's no contest here. Vasili Podkolzin is doing nothing short of what Pavel Datsyuk was doing at the same age. Right now, Podkolzin is in his 23-year-old season. Okay, great. When Pavel Datsyuk was 23 years old, he already had 35 points in 70 games with the Red Wings. Now, maybe that's not all too significant. Maybe that's not too big of a jump, because Pavel Datsyuk did have, let's say, inferior 20-year-old season compared to what Podkolzin did. Podkolzin was with the Canucks when he was 20 years old. 26 points, 79 games played. Pavel Datsyuk was still in the second-tier Russian league. But if you take a look at some of the future projections here, Pavel Datsyuk, after posting up 35 points in 70 games, he ended up having 51 points and then 68 points and then 87 points by the time he was 27. So Vasili Podkolzin, is he capable of doing that? Who really knows? I'm not really too sure if he's really in that territory anymore. Does Podkolzin have strong work ethic? Yes. Does he have good defensive responsibility? I'd say yes. He backchecks really hard. He's not afraid to block shots. He's always in the mix in his own zone. But offensively, there was going to be some problems with Podkolzin because he never got the development necessary to be able to use those skills that he has in an offensively domineering way. He was able to do that at the tournament. He was really good compared to his own peers. But as his career progressed, we saw Podkolzin going from team to team to team, from league to league to league, and he was never able to fully capitalize on the skills that he has. Those were never able to develop. So in Vancouver, you started to see him get placed in the doghouse a little bit afterwards. He wasn't really vibing under Tocchet's system, and then he got traded. Which is why we are seeing now Podkolzin is in Edmonton. He's been given a pretty strong role. He's versatile. You can play him everywhere. But is he Pavel Datsyuk 2.0? I say probably not. There isn't really much of that in his game, I would say, anymore. Nor do I think he's ever going to be an 80 or a 90-point guy. Even back in the 2018-19 draft season, I was kind of feeling like the ceiling for this dude was maybe, let's say, a 65-point player, 65, 70 points. A player who does a lot of good things and a player who has very hard work ethic, but the question always was, how far is a strong work ethic going to take you without any real tangible skills being displayed throughout the entire course of the season? Sure, he had the shot, he had the really good sniping ability, he had the barreling to the net that we saw at the Hlinka Gretzky, but he didn't show much of that at all throughout the rest of his draft-eligible season, and it was kind of difficult to explain why. You could give him the benefit of the doubt because Podkolzin's draft-eligible season saw him playing everywhere. He played for Team Russia, Team Russia, Team Russia, Team Russia, SKA St. Petersburg, SKA Neva St. Petersburg, SKA 1946 St. Petersburg, plus 2 different playoff tournaments and a whole bunch of other regular international tournaments on top of that, and the regular KHL. So he was all over the place. He never had the opportunity to settle down and develop his skills, which is why by the time he made it over into the NHL and the AHL, yeah, he didn't really have those tools to build off off of into the next few years. So, of course, Podkolzin's only 23. There's a chance he gets better, but for now, being advertised as the next Datsyuk, I'm sorry, but I think we were fooled. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Craig Button and his initial analyses of Podkolzin 6 years ago and where it takes you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.